YouTube, it's your boy Sean Matrai, back again with COG number 3. Yes, we've hit it. We got it with BLS. Blackluster Soldier. Alright, the skill gets a little complex. I know you're going to look at this deck list and you're going to see a bunch of high-level monsters. You're going to say, how the heck am I going to summon these? What do I do with this deck? Well, I'm here to help you. And to teach everything you need to know about Blackluster Soldier and how good the skill is. And yes, I think this deck is top tier, and it's a great choice for the KC Cup. Now, in my opinion, this has arguably the best turn 2 in the game, right there with 10 Yi. It's just so strong overall, because of specifically the skill in itself, and Envoy at the beginning, Endymion, and Book. These cards make it crazy to go second. We're going to talk about it. Alright, so first things first, we're going to go over the Blackluster Soldier skill. So the first thing, I think it's correct that we actually go over the skill first when it comes in terms of this deck, so you can further understand what's going on here. Alright, so the skill is basically a 2-paragraph long skill. It's an essay, so bear with me. I'm gonna go slow. At the beginning of the at the beginning of the duel, add the Soul of Light and Darkness and 1 Super Soldier Ritual to your graveyard. Now, people are probably wondering, what is the Soul of Light and Darkness? Well, basically, you're gonna add all these different monsters to your graveyard. Dark Magician, Charging Gaia, Arisen Gaia, Mystical Elf, Karibo, Spear Karibo, Super Soldier Ritual. All these go to your graveyard. Now, this is complex because you got to understand how exactly that's doing things, but basically all those cards are going into your graveyard. Now, some of these different cards have effects. Now, they're not big effects, but there are minimalistic effects that you have to remember. For example, Arisen Gaia in the graveyard allows you to banish it to ritual summon a Blackluster Soldier monster. So, if you would activate a ritual spell to ritual summon a Blackluster Soldier, you can banish this as material instead. And then you have cards like Spear Karibo, which when you ritual summon a monster, you can banish this card from the graveyard as part of the tribute. And then you have Dark Magician, which is the normal monster. We'll go over that in a second. That's important for legendary Blackluster Soldier. And then we have Super Soldier Ritual. Basically, this thing, its relevance is that, that you can banish this and a Light in the Dark and special summon a Blackluster Soldier ritual monster from your hand. Now, keep in mind, that is not properly ritual summoned. So, with Ferocious Flame Swordsman, you cannot revive that back. In order to revive back your ritual monster, it has to be properly ritual summoned first. Now, going back to the top of the skill. So, after you add all this in your graveyard, it will lock you into only special summoning Gaia the Fierce Knight monsters, Blackluster Soldier monsters, or Link monsters. So those are the only things you're going to be able to summon the entire duel. Next, once per turn, you can activate the following effect when you special summon a Blackluster Soldier monster. So this could be via Super Soldier Ritual, or anytime that you would basically ritual summon one of your Blackluster Soldiers. Ferocious Flame Swordsman, that's not going to come up because you're not going to be able to get a main phase 2. So it has to be during that main phase 1 that you would summon it, not in the battle phase. So, going on forward, you can add 1 Blackluster Soldier Ritual monster where there are no cards with the same name in the graveyard or field. So you can, anytime you special summon a Blackluster Soldier, that can be a ritual monster or that can be Envoy at the beginning. You can add 1 Blackluster Soldier monster from your deck to your hand. Then, select up to 3 of your banished cards and return them to the graveyard. So, any of your 3 banished cards go back to the graveyard. Alright, so basically, going over this very slow because I want you to understand this, is if I special summon a Blackluster Soldier via Envoy or a Ritual Summon or Super Soldier Ritual, I can add a Blackluster Soldier from my deck to my hand. Then I return up to 3 banished cards from your banished zone to your graveyard. And those are generally going to be the cards that you would banish for Chaos Form or Super Soldier Ritual to make that work, or Envoy in itself. So keep that in mind. Now, what's very important to note also is the first part of that skill to special summon to add a Blackluster Soldier from your deck to your hand. It's like Hero Alliance. It's not like Magician's Magic. So if anything were to happen to your Blackluster Soldier, for instance, if you summon Envoy and they activate Book of Moon on it, you're still going to be able to search your Blackluster Soldier monster. Alright, the second part is not. Okay, and that says if there is a Blackluster Soldier, meaning the normal monster. See how it's in quotations? That means the normal monster only. The normal ritual monster, non-effect version. Okay, on the field, you could set 1 ritual spell from your deck to your field. Now that can be any ritual spell, but again, being that you can only special summon Blackluster Soldier monsters and Gaian monsters, you can't set something like, you know, Vendred Origin from your deck to your field. So that's not going to happen. But you can definitely do that in retrospect and start, you know, getting to your Chaos Form or your Super Soldier Synthesis a lot faster. This skill is ridiculous. It's very powerful. And you will see that in the replays I'm going to show you. Now we can go over the deck as a whole. So basically, remember, your goal is that primarily you want to summon this first, your Blackluster Soldier, so that way you could search a ritual spell and a Blackluster Soldier, so you can keep extending your plays. And the way you're going to be able to search him is via your Gateway to Chaos, or just by drawing him. You could also play Manju as well, but again, if you go turn 1, you do not have to draw him. Going first, he does not need to be in your opening hand for you to succeed. He could be in your deck, and you could still search him by other ways, so long as you're not going fully in with your play. So for instance, let's say I go turn 1, I could special summon out any of my rituals, Envoy, and then still be in that spot via turn 2 to follow up and get my ritual spell. Also, to search a Blackluster Soldier is not once per duel. That is once per turn. The only trade is that you can only add a Blackluster Soldier from your deck to your hand that is different from ones that you have on the field or in the grave. So for example, if you have a legendary in your graveyard, you can add a legendary from your deck to your hand. So just keep that in mind. Okay, anyway. This is just a normal monster that procs the skill. Nothing else to talk about here. Next is Blackluster Soldier, Super Soldier. So you can ritual summon this with Super Soldier Ritual or Chaos Form, which you're going to be doing. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage equal to half the attack of the destroyed monster. So it's kind of like Flame Wing Man. If you destroy their monster, you deal damage, right, to half the attack. If this card is destroyed by battle or a card effect sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect, you can special summon Gaia the Fierce Night Monster from your hand deck or graveyard. Now, the skill puts Arisen Gaia and Charging Gaia in your graveyard. So you're going to instantly have a floating target primarily, providing that you keep both of those, or at least one of those in your graveyard. So you have a float target off this, this is primarily what you want to summon turn 1 along with your Ferocious Flame Swordsman, if you're going to get someone aggressive. So that's important. Now, the next is our brand new ritual monster, and this card is perhaps the most insane ritual monster, and it's Legendary Swordsman Blackluster Soldier. So basically, you ritual summon this with Chaos Form or Blackluster Ritual. Must be ritual summoned. During your draw phase, before you draw it, you can reveal this to add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand. Now, this is very important because drawing this, going second, and you may want to run 2 of this. It's highly dependent on what you feel, but there is a point. And that is that this plays around Abyss Dweller because it can search you a ritual spell before you draw, so that way Dweller doesn't completely shut down your graveyard. Also, when this card is on the field during the battle phase, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects. It does not matter if this is ritual summon with an normal monster. I'm going to get to Dark Magician's point in the skill in about a second. But if this card is just on the field, and you go to battle phase, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects. So that means they cannot book convene you in the battle phase, they cannot crack down you in the battle phase. You can use this very strategically to bait the battle phase. So that way your opponent goes to steal it, then they must do it in the main phase, or they want to book it, they must do it in the main phase. And this is very useful getting around certain effects, including Tenyi, that they can't activate their Satana, their Mapora, all that in the battle phase, that cannot happen. So it's going to have to be in the main phase. So that's very, very important for you to understand. As well as Trickstar, they can't core bane in the battle phase. There's a lot of relevant effects that would happen in the battle phase, more than you think in this current meta. So that's really good. Now, the third effect of this card relies around Dark Magician. Not Dark Magician, but a normal monster. When this card is ritual summoned using a normal monster's material and destroys an opponent's monster in battle, you could shuffle all your opponent's cards on the field into the deck. Now, this is extremely strong against odd eyes, because if you ritual summon this using a normal monster, and you attack over one of their monsters, providing you've broken their field, then they lose everything into the deck, including their pendulum scales, and then their follow-up is gone, and you pretty much win the game. So that's something you have to keep into mind. And the way you're going to do that, again, is remember with the Soul of Light and Darkness, that puts Dark Magician in your graveyard. So that is a normal monster that you're going to use to summon out your legendary swordsman. Mystical Elf is too, but that only really comes with the Envoys of Chaos, when you would banish them from your graveyard. That's why Mystical Elf is there. But anything else, Dark Magician's the primarily way you're going to do it. That and Spear Creator to bring this out. Alright, next we have 3 Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning. This card is the Invasion of Chaos staple from 2004. Basically a over $100 card in that box I played back then. This card is absolutely cracked. And it's really, really broken with the skill. It's not that great on its own in Duel Links, because we've far past its time being good by itself. But in pair with Blackluster Soldier and a crazy skill that enables it, this card is insane. So basically, if you remember what I told you, when you special summon him, you can search a Blackluster Soldier from your deck to your hand. So that's already a +1 when you summon him. But going second, he can do quite a few things. You best will summon him by banishing 1 light and 1 dark. After that, he is properly summoned, so he can be revived or Ferocious Flame Swordsman. But this is where it gets crazy. Once per turn, you can target 1 monster on the field, banish it. So that's insanely good to get around things that you couldn't swing over otherwise. Second effect, if this attacking monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it can attack again twice in a row. So obviously you can see this card is super easy to summon in the deck, given that you put like 7 lights and darks in the graveyard. You could summon multiple of them in the turn. Every one of his effects is a soft once per, and you are easily able to swarm this thing and attack. This card makes going second in this deck absolutely insane. And really, really good. So obviously BLS is definitely a 3 of if you have it. If you have less of it, you can run 2. But this card is ridiculous in this deck. Alright, moving on. We have Endymion, the Magistus of Mastery. Now, this card is, we're running the Endymion engine, and I think this is much better than the Trickstar engine, and I'm going to tell you why. Endymion allows us to target a Magistus monster, equip it with 1 Magistus monster from the action deck. So basically, I'm going to tell you this in a much more layman's terms, straightforward way, that this is a monster negate, a back removal, and a draw and a search on turn 1. So what you're going to do is, if you go second, you equip, and you want to negate a monster effect, you equip Relona. Because when Relona is equipped, you can target one of your opponent's monsters, negate the effect. Afterwards, you can even blow up Relona, draw a card, and spin 1 back in the deck. So maybe gets you into attack you want. Endymion's also good with Ninaro. Summon it, equip it, blow up a back row. Extremely, extremely powerful. This card is insane against Shooting Riser Dragon, because if you summon it, then you negate the Shooting Riser, no Trish 0. So that puts them in a very, very bad spot. going second. This card is absolutely incredible. And then turn 1, you could equip it, or even on turn 2, if they set like no disruptions, you could equip Artemis, search another Endymion, and then draw a card and pop it. So obviously a lot of utility in Endymion, which is why we play it. Now, on top of that, we are running Gateway to Chaos. This is the field spell of the deck. We're playing 2 of it. On activation, you search 1 Blackluster Soldier ritual monster from your deck to your hand. So you add your Blackluster Soldier. Then, each time a card is sent from the hand or field to the graveyard, you place a counter on it. When it has 3 counters, you can add 1 ritual spell from your deck to your hand by removing those 3 counters. Now, this card is absolutely insane because it is really easy to send cards from the hand or field to the graveyard. Think of Link Summon, right? So if you Link Summon using 2 monsters, you send 2 cards from the field to the graveyard. And then if you go into like a Nightmare combo, like Nightmare Phoenix, you Link 2, then send 1 out of the hand to pop their back row, or Cerebus to pop a monster, then instantly you send 3 cards from both the hand and the field to the graveyard, and you can add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand. So that's very, very resourceful. Also could be used in combination with like Endymion and BLS to get around Dweller as well. So that's another way to get around Abyss Dweller in the deck. Now, on top of that, we're playing 2 Chaos Swarm. Some people play 1 of this. I like 2 for the grind. This could be used to ritual summon any Blackluster Soldier ritual monster, or Chaos, but you're only summoning Blackluster Soldier. You contribute monsters from your hand or field, or banish Blue Eyes White Dragons or Dark Magicians from the graveyard. Okay, so basically, in order to ritual summon, you must banish Dark Magician or something that would allow it in the graveyard. So what I mean, the card on itself says you can banish Dark Magician from your graveyard, right? But it doesn't say, what about Spear Kribo? What about your other Gaia? What about Arisen Gaia and Spear Kribo? It doesn't say you can banish them. No, because in the card text itself, you can banish them. So, even though the ritual spell doesn't say you can banish them, as long as it's mentioned in the above card text, you can banish them as well. So, then you are able to banish a combination of those cards, generally Dark Magician and Spear Kribo, and then summon your Blackluster Rituals. And you set this from your deck off of Blackluster Soldier being on the field. Alongside that, we're playing 3 Book, 2 Crackdown, 1 Treacherous Trapple, and then the extra deck, as I talked about the Magicians already, we can Link Summon because the skill allows us to. So we're running 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Cerebus, 2 Ferocious Flame Swordsman. You can even play a Crusade Equimax if you want to swing over some things, because times higher monsters become a problem, and 1 Nightmare Unicorn. Alright, with that being said, let's get to some replays here. Give me 1 second, because I think I have to save a few of them. Alright, here we go.
Let the game begin! I'll give it my all! It's time! It's mine! I activate my ritual spell! I'll do this! I'll give it my...
All right, that's the video. If you guys enjoyed this video, follow me on Twitch. Another COD climb is coming very shortly. Potentially with Stardust. That might be our next climb. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. We're on our way to YouTube partner. I appreciate your help in any way possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And until next time, this is your boy, Sean Matrai, signing out. Peace. Bye, YouTube.